Hello there, welcome back to Everywoman. Now, we all like to have a good laugh now and again, so take a look at this.
My point is this. Wine gums, rye bread, licorice. Western traps designed to seduce Muslims to drink alcohol.
His sermons are going to drive me to drink alcohol.
Television.
Patience, daughter.
Even
it's
worse.
his last sermon. The new mom will be on his way very soon.
American Idol, Canadian Idol. I say all idols must be smashed. Desperate housewives. Why should they be desperate when they're only performing their natural womanly duties?
I think that's great. Little Mosque on the Prairie takes a tongue-in-cheek look at the struggles and misunderstandings of a group of Muslims trying to live in harmony with their rather suspicious small-town neighbours. Well, the show became an instant hit in Canada when it premiered earlier this year, and it's due to go global as it launches its second season. Well, the show's creator, Zaka Nawaz, and executive producer Mary Darling are here with us to talk about the show. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us. It is a very funny idea for the show. Zaka, how did you get the idea?
Well, I did a documentary several years ago called Me and the Mosque, and I traveled across North America interviewing women in mosques about the issues that they were facing. And a lot of ideas came to me from that documentary because I had a long time to talk to various women about, how mosques could be different if the imam sort of born and raised in the country that they were from, and this sort of cultural clash that seems to happen when a man from another country comes into a North American mosque and there's a difference of opinion on gender issues and cultural issues. So I thought, it would be really fascinating to create a show where an imam was born and raised in Canada and actually could relate to the younger people in his congregation and sort of how he would play that game where he would have to be, diplomatic with the older, say, immigrant men, as well as sort of the younger Canadian-born Muslims.
And it does set the scene for some very funny situations. Mary, I'm sure you saw the comedy gold in this immediately.
Well, if there's a way to break down stereotypes by just addressing them through the voices of character, I think that comedy is the right voice to use.
You talk about breaking down stereotypes. Are you worried about reinforcing stereotypes?
Well, I mean, to me, showing Muslims as normal human beings who have everyday issues like raising their kids and paying their bills and going to work and taxes, I mean, those are issues that you never see Muslims in television facing. So if anything, I would love to have a stereotype of Muslims as regular human beings, which I think would be a good thing.
And you do deal with a whole raft of issues. Let's have a look at one of them now. This is a clip from an episode dealing with polygamy, where a wife discovers that her mother-in-law is trying to persuade her husband to take another wife. Let's take a look.
Why are you being so nice to me?
I don't understand why you're being so nice to me.
Ah, my two favorite...
You haven't told her yet, have you?
I'm working up to it.
Yasser's marrying Samira.
Yes, sir.
I told her, but then she had a mild heart attack.
Well, then tell her again and finish the job.
And Zaka, I know that you're a practicing Muslim. Was it important to you to tackle important issues like this in a humorous way?
Absolutely. I mean, I think because I'm a woman, there are issues about female equality and gender equality that matter a lot to me. And so for me, this show is a great way of being both comedic and entertaining, yet being able to, there's this grain of truth that also follows some of the storylines and some of the issues that I would like the community to think about a little bit more.
Yes, I know that you said in the past, and I quote, the more serious the issue, the more fun I try to have with it. Is that the secret of the show's success?
I think so. I mean, I think the best comedy comes from a place that's very real and authentic, and it resonates with people, and it's universal, and people can say, you know what, these are issues that happen in my faith or my organization or my family. I don't think, issues when it comes to gender and oppression are limited to any one organization or one group of people. I think they're universal and they exist everywhere in the world. And so I think that this show makes these issues accessible to everybody.
Okay, well, one of the things that makes the show funny is the sort of the misunderstandings between two different cultures. So let's have a look at another clip where one of the locals gets totally the wrong idea about the Muslim community.
I saw them bowing and moaning just like on CNN.
They're Muslims. They pray 5 times a day.
You rented the parish hall to a bunch of fanatics?
Don't be paranoid. Many churches rent space to businesses. This is simply a pilot project.
Pilot? They're training pilots.
Calm down, Joe. There's nothing sinister about Yasser's construction company.
Osama bin Laden ran a construction company, too.
Some of the jokes are quite close to the bone. I mean, how do you think jokes like that will play here in the Middle East?
I mean, from what I can tell, it's already, people have downloaded the shows on YouTube and they've watched them in the Middle East and they find them quite funny and hilarious. I mean, I think the show has great resonance throughout the world. I do too. I think the voice of the show through the Middle East, and by the way, we're very close to making a deal with the show for a Middle Eastern audience. I think that the voice will be loud and clear and very understood. Of course, that, you know, we're talking about a Canadian setting in a Canadian prairie town, a fictional town. Does anything go, or do you have to be quite careful about overstepping the mark and perhaps offending some people? Well, the thing is, you can never be sure who you're going to offend, right? I mean, it's impossible to make a show and make it in a way that no one will be offended. So what you have to do is, I mean, I'm Muslim and I know what my sensibilities are. And so we try to make the best show and the funniest show possible. To me, the biggest challenge of the show, quite frankly, is to make it funny, because comedy is one of the hardest types of writing there is. So when people say, you know, is it really hard, you know, to write a comedy that won't offend people, I'm actually not worried as much about offending people as I am trying to make it as funny as possible and as entertaining as possible. Well, I have to tell you, everyone here in the Everywoman office really enjoyed looking through all the clips you sent us, so thank you very much for that. And we do think it's a very funny show, and the best of luck with it. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on Everywoman. Now, I don't suppose Little Mosque on the Prairie will be airing in Iran anytime soon, but there is one thing that's gaining popularity there, and that's women's football. Since the Islamic Revolution of 1979, Iranian women have been banned from going to men's football matches, but they do have their own national football team. Everywoman joined them as they prepared to play Berlin.
It's been less than a year since the national team was formed, and I was fairly quickly named as their head coach. Only 2 months after the team was formed, they won the runner-up prize in the East Asian Cup. For the manager, this was a bittersweet triumph. She never achieved her goal of becoming a player. She was too old by the time women's football became established in Iran.
Shahrazad Muzaffar was always a naughty girl, and she was always fond of playing. From the age of 6, she was very keen on football.
When I was 16 or so and I had to take up a sport professionally, there was no football for women, so I took up volleyball instead. But if it had existed, I think I would have been very successful because of my love of the game. Many of these women play in Iran's indoor football league, which has been running for nearly 6 years. Here, one of Tehran's top teams is returning from an international competition. The girls' success attracts serious media attention, where before they were ignored.
Whether from the point of view of coaching or fitness, our team really came out on top. But unfortunately, a penalty shootout is always a matter of luck. With more international experience, I think we'd have had a better result.
We played well along the wings, even though we had a 4-4-2 formation. But when we saw the weakness in the center of the German defense, we moved our attack into the center of the field.
اگر این اتفاقات بیفته پول خرج بکنن پول منظورم نیست که پول بیام به بچه‌ها بدن پول برای تمرینات بچه‌ها
If they invest more money in facilities and training the players, we can achieve a lot. But if not, then I don't think that next year in the East Asia Cup we will even be runners-up. Iran held the more experienced Berlin team to a draw in the friendly series. With these early achievements under her belt and a rising national profile, Sherazad Muzaffar has big dreams for her young team.
I want to take the team to the World Cup.
Well, sadly, the Iranian government refused permission for the team to travel to Berlin for the return match. But of course, we wish them all the best with their World Cup dreams. And finally, some good news. You may remember a few weeks ago, Everywoman reported on the women textile workers in Egypt who were occupying the factory and striking for better pay. Well, it looks like the women have won, and we'll have more for you on that story next week. As ever, if you want to drop us a line, email us here at everywoman@aljazeera.net. But for now, from all the team here, bye-bye.